3 Sinister Craigslist terrors, 3 haunting encounters exposed that will leave you spine-chilled. In the quiet suburb of Maplewood, Sarah's life takes a dark turn after the unexpected death of her husband. Burdened with grief and desperate for money, she decides to sell his beloved tools on Craigslist. What begins as a simple task spirals into a nightmare. One evening, a message from a buyer named Joe appears on her phone, persistent, chilling, and full of unsettling inquiries. He wants the tools, but at what cost? The unease crescendos as she juggles her shifts at the local diner and the demands of her young daughter, Lily. Shadows seem to dance at the edges of her vision, creeping closer each night, and strange laughter echoes faintly through the neighborhood, chilling Sarah to the bone. Thoughts swirl what is happening to her once safe home. She brushes it off as exhaustion combined with grief, stifling the dread bubbling up inside her. As the messages from Joe persist, they grow more bizarre, invasive. Each ping of her phone sends ice through her veins. Her heartbeat thunders in her ears as she wanders around the house, scanning her darkened surroundings. Was that a shadow moving outside? Every creak of the floorboards makes her shriek inwardly. The backyard fence has been cut, leaving her vulnerable. Night after night, the laughter rings through the air, terrifyingly close, almost beckoning. Desperate for guidance, Sarah reaches out to her neighbors, hoping for solidarity. Instead, she encounters a chilling indifference. Conversations fizzle flat, faces go blank, eyes turn away as if she has become an outcast. Panic settles deeper in her gut, and when she approaches the local police, their disinterest leaves her feeling unmoored. They have bigger problems to handle, and she is just another mother gripped by unseen threats. Alone, Sarah feels the grip of despair pulling her under. One evening, she digs through her husband's toolbox. The familiar smell of sawdust and rust stirs memories, but she uncovers something that makes her blood run cold. An old scrap of paper with the name Joe scrawled along with strange symbols that seem to pulse with eerie energy. Fear blinds her as familiarity creeps back. These symbols had been etched into the tools Joe asked about. Her heart races as she grasps the weight of it. This isn't just a buyer. What is he? The air in the house thickens, and a prickling sensation crawls over her skin, forcing her to look up. She feels eyes on her, an oppressive gaze that fills her with dread. The familiar comfort of her home now feels like a trap. The shadows are alive, and the laughter that haunts her thoughts now echoes loudly, right outside her front door. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Terror claws at her mind. She grips a wrench, her heart pounding like a drum, when suddenly a loud crash erupts from the back of the house, sending panic rippling through her. Adrenaline surges as she creeps towards the sound, dread pooling in her stomach. What lies beyond those walls? The question hangs heavily in the air, suffocating her. Will she be able to protect her child before it's too late? As shadows close in, she steels herself for a confrontation she never saw coming, knowing Joe is just the beginning of something much darker. The crash reverberates through the house, a sound that feels foreign and menacing. Sarah swallows hard, each heartbeat like a countdown echoing in her ears. She steps cautiously, every creak of the floor echoing like an alarm in the stillness, a reminder that her world has tilted into chaos. Lily. She whispers urgently, praying her daughter sleeps soundly in her room, oblivious to the mounting terror. Panic threads through her veins as she approaches the back door. The lure of that darkness outside, thick and heavy, almost breathes tension. She pushes the door open with a hesitant hand, the rusty hinges creaking, announcing her presence. Her breath catches in her throat. The moonlight floods the backyard, revealing toppled chairs and a shadowy figure crouched low to the ground. A man. No, it's a distorted silhouette, almost blending into the darkness. Who is there? She calls, her voice laced with feigned strength. No response. Just silence, thick and suffocating, yet she senses the presence stirring, feeding off her fear. The laughter drifts again, a haunting hum that seems to swirl around her, pulling her deeper into an unseen dread. Before the shadow can react, she slams the door shut and locks it, heart pounding wildly as she scrambles to find Lily in the safety of their home. She rushes into her daughter's room, breathless, ready to gather her in her arms, to shield her from whatever lurks outside. But Lily is not in bed. The sheets are crumpled, her stuffed bunny missing from the pillow. Cold panic seizes Sarah's heart. Lily. She calls again, more frantic this time. No answer. She races through the house, checking each room, her mind racing with the worst scenarios. The laughter again, louder, now mingling with whispers that float through the darkness, words she can't quite grasp but that chill her bones. It's coming from the living room. She musters every ounce of bravery she has left, each step weighted with uncertainty, peering into the living room, the sight that greets her twists her stomach. The furniture stands unnaturally arranged, as though someone had played a macabre game with her belongings. In the center of it all sits the toolbox, opened wide, its contents strewn about as if the tools themselves had become sentient. Desperate to escape, she steps back, terror flooding her senses. It can't be Joe, he wouldn't dare, but the inkling of paranoia slips in. What does he want? And where is her daughter? Dread washes over her as she sees it, a figure watching her through the window, smirking, a familiar yet grotesque face. It's Joe. The shadows behind him ripple and dance, growing thicker. He raises a glimmering tool in one hand, a dark expression stretching across his face as he mouths silent words that a potent urge to flee seizes her. But her child, leave us alone. She screams, her mind grasping for any semblance of control. The laughter roars, erupting outside, filling the air with a maddening cacophony, drowning out her thoughts. She bolts for the front door, desperation propelling her towards the twisted darkness, but as she reaches for the handle, the phone buzzes urgently in her pocket, Joe's message lighting up the screen. I'm just getting started. The shadows grow, waiting, hungry, ready to pull her into the abyss. She steels herself, gripping the door handle, ready to confront the terror outside. Will she fight or flee? And what if Joe isn't the only danger lurking in Maplewood? Adrenaline spikes through Sarah as she reads the chilling message, her heart thundering in her chest. With the weight of dread threatening to crush her, she knows she can't stay still. She pulls open the door, feeling the rush of cold night air crash against her skin like a waking nightmare. Outside, shadows twist in the moonlight, distorting reality as if everything was intentionally crafted to terrify her. Lily. Her voice trembles, but she chokes it out, believing that somewhere, somehow, her daughter can hear her. She steps onto the porch, each heavy footfall echoing into the consuming darkness. The laughter is gone, yet the air hums with a sinister energy that grips her throat. She scans the yard, eyes darting through the blackness. The backyard is a maze of nightmares. Trees and garages loom overhead like watchful giants, hiding secrets in their gnarled branches. After a moment, a flicker of movement catches her eye. Near the fence, something shifts, and there, barely illuminated in the shadow, is Lily's stuffed bunny, a soft silhouette standing out against the dark mulch. A surge of hope fights against the fear tightening around her. Lily. She calls again, breaking into a sprint. She can't leave her daughter behind. The potential for safety fades with each second. As she dives toward the bunny, a low growl reverberates from the shadows, a growl that isn't human. She hesitates, turning back toward the house. There's something lurking, she can feel it in her bones. A chill runs down her spine, prickling her skin. Run, just run. She tells herself, battling the instinct to search. But she can't abandon Lily. Her child is lost in this black abyss. The thought of Joe flashes through her mind. What has he done? What has he unleashed? The growling morphs into a chuckle, a horrible, guttural sound like nails scraping against glass. It echoes in the air, reverberating through her bones. She stumbles back, the bunny dangling from her fingers. It's just fabric, just a toy, but the whispers fill her ears again, circling her mind like claws through flesh. Lily, please. She sobs, tears welling. A heavy silence follows, and just when she thinks all hope is lost, she hears it, a soft whimper, faint but unmistakable. It comes from inside the house. The sound claws at her heart, igniting a desperate courage she didn't know she possessed. She bolts back to the door, nearly wrenching it open. As she steps inside, she feels a rush of warmth, a brief moment of safety. Lily. She screams again, the urgency crackling in her voice. The house feels foreign, almost alive, as if it's alerted to her fear. Shadows swirl around her, thickening with each breath. Suddenly, the lights flicker, illuminating a figure at the end of the hall. It's small, trembling. Mom. A broken voice calls. But it isn't Lily. It's a child with dark, sunken eyes, skin pale as the moon. A wide grin stretches across the little girl's face, revealing teeth too sharp for innocence. Lily wants to play, she says, her voice echoing unnaturally, sending chills racing down Sarah's spine. Frozen in place, Sarah realizes the truth. This isn't her daughter. This is something else entirely, something sinister. As the figure steps closer, the air grows thick, choking, suffocating. The laughter returns, filling the space like a noxious fog, dark and foul. Just as the girl stretches out a hand, fingers curling like tendrils of smoke, the front door swings shut, and the house falls into darkness. Sarah's heart races as she gropes through shadows, her thoughts racing towards a singular point. What has she let in? Behind her, a whisper curls in the air. Will you play with me now? What other horrors lie in wait? Will Sarah uncover the truth before time runs out? Sarah fights the darkness, the weight of dread coiling around her throat. She can't see, can't breathe, but the whisper is there, like a serpent slithering through her mind. Will you play with me now? Get away from me. She screams, but her voice crashes into the void. The cold air feels alive, prickling against her skin as shadows snake around her. She stumbles backward, eyes scanning desperately for a way out. The lights flicker again, illuminating the contorted face of the girl. You're scared? Her grin widens impossibly, almost splitting her face. But we just want to play. A wild heartbeat drums in her ears. Thump thump, thump thump. Panic floods her mind. Lily's whimper echoes from somewhere deeper in the house. She can't afford to let this creature distract her. Lily. A plea escapes her lips, raw and desperate. The figure inches closer, and Sarah feels the chill seep into her bones, feel the laughter claw at her sanity. No more hesitation. She pushes past the dread, racing toward the hallway that leads to the back rooms. The rooms she and Lily once shared feel like a labyrinth of memories, instilling a new terror altogether. Each step snaps against the floor like a gunshot, a reminder of her vulnerability. She reaches the first door and yanks it open, nothing but darkness and the remnants of yesterday's happiness. Lily. The echoes meet only oblivion. She slams the door shut, terror flooding her senses anew. Suddenly, a sickening crack of laughter chills her blood, a sound that morphs from innocent play into something twisted. Mommy's not playing. The childlike voice taunts from the shadows as she races down the hall. Each door she opens reveals emptiness, no safety, no comfort, only unanswered calls. The house feels like a trap, constricting around her. Then she hears it again, a sound, like a muffled sob followed by a soft thudding against the wall. Hope ignites, she rushes to follow the noise, certain it's Lily. The thumping grows louder, more frantic. Mom! Mom! Lily! She reaches the last door at the end of the hall, her heart pounding in her throat. The handle feels cold as she grips it. Please, please be there, she whispers, pushing the door open. The room is filled with shadows, lit only by the faint glow of the moon filtering through the window. And there, In the corner, clutching her stuffed bunny, is Lily. Mommy. Relief sweeps over Sarah, a wave of warmth battling the darkness that surrounds them. But then she notices something off. Lily isn't alone. A figure stands behind her daughter, silhouetted against the window. Its eyes glow like embers, and its grin stretches wider, grotesque and inviting. Now we can all play. Fear grips Sarah's heart again, constricting it. There is something wrong, something deeply menacing about how Lily's gaze is locked onto the creature, as if she doesn't see the horror creeping closer. No. Sarah screams, lunging forward. But the room spins as phantom hands claw at her, thick darkness wrapping tightly around her limbs, pulling her back into its embrace. You can't leave us now. The whispers swirl, engulfing her, and all at once, the lights shut off, plunging her into a void where she can't tell where she ends and the terror begins. Will Sarah manage to save her daughter, or will she be consumed by the horrors of the house? And what secrets dwell in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered? The darkness felt suffocating, wrapping around Sarah like a heavy cloak. She couldn't see anything, not even the outline of Lily in front of her. Panic clawed at her throat, sharp and real. Lily! She shouted again, but the scream sounded hollow, swallowed by the relentless night. Suddenly, a soft giggle echoed from the corners of the room, high-pitched and taunting. Mommy left you all alone. The voice crawled under her skin, creating goosebumps across her arms. The figure lurked just behind Lily, its presence heavy and malevolent. Lily! Sarah reached forward, trembling. Her fingers brushed against the edge of the bed, but the shadows shifted, dragging her thoughts deeper into confusion. The room had twisted, bending her memory of it into something sinister. Lily, honey, come to me. In that moment, the giggle morphed into a screech of laughter, twisting and contorting, echoing in Sarah's mind. She stumbled backward, and the walls of the house seemed to lean in closer, as if the building itself was conspiring against her. Why don't you want to play? The voice hissed, still wrapped around her. The low light flickered, revealing the creature's glistening eyes like black coals. Each heartbeat pushed Sarah closer to the edge of panic. Leave her alone. She yelled, ripping her eyes away from the creature. Movement pulled her attention back to Lily, who timidly stepped forward, the bunny clutched tightly in her little arms. With every breath, Sarah felt the air thickening, heavy with dread. She desperately fought against the tightening grip of darkness, willing herself to break through it. Lily, please listen to me. We need to get out of here. But I don't want to go, Lily said, her voice eerily calm, as if she were disconnected from the chaos surrounding them. They just want to play forever. Don't you want to play too, Mommy? No. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she lunged forward again, trying to grab Lily, but the shadows quivered and pulled her back. Stumbling, she cried out, I will never play with you. Not with that thing. The air thickened, and for a brief moment, the laughter faded, a tense silence filling the room. But the moment was fleeting. The entity lunged forward, its grin expanding, ready to swallow them whole. Suddenly, Sarah's phone buzzed in her pocket. She felt it vibrate against her skin, somehow real and grounding. Desperation ignited a spark of determination. With a swift motion, she fished it out, the screen lighting up with a notification. Eleanor is trying to reach you. It flashed. Eleanor. The name pulled at her memory. The woman who had seemed so harmless earlier, who had told stories about the house's history. What had she said? The entity's eyes blazed with rage. She can't help you. She's ours, Lily. Sarah cried again, ignoring the creature now threatening to engulf her completely. Listen. We have to go. Eleanor knows what this place is. Lily's eyes flickered with some spark of recognition, but shadows tightened around her, pulling her back toward the figure. With renewed urgency, Sarah thrust the phone towards Lily, illuminating her face. Call for her. Call for Eleanor. As the darkness surged, a scream tore from Sarah's throat, filled with fear and hope in equal measure. Eleanor. The little girl echoed, her voice piercing through the unforgiving night, but would her call be enough? The shadows recoiled momentarily, but the creature drew closer, its breath a chilling whisper against Sarah's ear. "You can't escape, this is where you belong." As the room swirled in chaos, an answering sound broke the silence, a soft, distant chime, like a doorbell ringing from somewhere beyond their sinister prison. "Help us!" she cried, holding on to Lily as tightly as she could. But even as hope flared, an icy dread gripped her heart. What else was waiting on the other side of that door? The distant chime echoed through the oppressive darkness, reverberating off the walls like a specter determined to thwart their escape. Sarah held Lily close, her heartbeat a frantic drum echoing their fear. "We have to get to the door," she shouted, willing her legs to move, to break free of the dark tendrils squeezing tighter around them. Suddenly, the giggling resumed, but now it sounded different, lower, more sinister. "You can't leave. You know what happens when you try." The creature loomed closer, its breath hot and stale, wrapping around Sarah like a noose. She could barely breathe. "No. I won't let you take her." Sarah's voice trembled as she cast desperate glances at the shadows swirling around them. They weren't just forms, they were clawing hands hungry for her spirit. Fear gnawed on her insides as she scanned every corner of the room for a way out, for a glimmer of salvation. "Mommy, the door." Lily's tiny voice sliced through the chaos. She pointed, her arm trembling as if the shadows themselves were reaching for her. There it was. A faint outline of a door just beyond the bed, framed by flickering shadows that slithered away like frightened snakes. With surge of adrenaline, Sarah dashed toward it, yanking Lily behind her. Shadows twisted and tried to latch onto them, swirling like violent smoke. "Run!" she yelled, driven by sheer instinct, her pulse racing as the air seemed to thicken with dread. An unbearable cackle erupted from the creature. "You won't make it. You'll see," it echoed around her, piercing through her resolve. As they drew closer, the door began to shimmer, light spilling through the cracks like a beacon of hope. Just a few more steps. But reality writhed and distorted, the floor buckling beneath them as shadows lunged from every side, clawing at her shirt, tugging at Lily's legs. "I can't hold on," Lily cried, panic edging into her gentle tone. Sarah felt her heart lurch. She had to protect her. "No!" Sarah screamed, gripping Lily's hand tighter. The door felt so close now, practically breathing life back into her, pulling them forward. How could something so deceptively ordinary be the key to their salvation? Another laugh rang out, this time more menacing. "You think you can escape? This is your home now. Forever." But Sarah didn't stop. With a burst of resolve, she pushed against the walls of darkness, her muscles straining with every desperate step. The door flickered, and for an instant, she thought she could see Eleanor's silhouette standing on the other side, welcoming them with open arms. "Mommy!" Lily shouted, her little voice filled with fear as the shadows began to wrap around her, dragging her back. "No!" Sarah yelled. She threw herself forward, grabbing the doorknob. It felt warm in her palm, pulsing as if in rhythm with her heart. "Eleanor!" She screamed again, the name bursting from her lips like a prayer. Would she be there? Would the woman they had met earlier really know how to make this all stop? With one swift turn of the knob, she flung the door open, light spilling forward, flooding the room with blinding brightness. The shadows hesitated, recoiling as the warmth pushed against them like the sun cutting through fog, but just as Sarah pulled Lily through the opening, she heard the cruel voice behind them, licking at their heels. "You can't leave. There's no escape." The light pulled them in, and everything cracked and splintered, darkness retreating with every ounce of force they mustered. Breathless, Sarah stumbled into the bright unknown, Lily still clasped tightly in her grip. But even as they stood at the threshold of a new space, the chilling dread hung in the air. "Where are we?" Sarah whispered, peering through the brightness. "Mommy, I hear them," Lily said, her eyes wide with terror. "What do you mean, sweetie?" Suddenly, Echoes of laughter swirled around them once more, and Sarah felt the cold fingers of fear crawl up her spine. A heavy realization dawned on her. What if the nightmare had just taken a new form? The door began to close behind them, but something monumental waited on the other side, shrouded in mystery. Would they find safety, or had they only tripped into another layer of horror? The chill of uncertainty clawed at her heart as the laughter grew louder, melding into a single, haunting phrase, "Welcome home." As the door clicked shut, sealing off their past, Sarah stood frozen in the light, a terrified whisper escaping her lips, "What now?" The light washed over them, but it was different now, sharp, glaring, slicing through the edges of reality. Sarah blinked, squinting as she looked around. They were in a room that resembled their old living room, down to the faded wallpaper and the worn-out couch. Yet something was off. The colors seemed dull, and the air felt heavy, as if it were saturated with despair. "Mommy," Lily whispered, her small voice shaking. "I don't like it here." "Me neither, sweetie." Sarah tried to sound brave. She crouched down, brushing back Lily's hair, but her fingers trembled against the silky strands. "We need to find a way out of here. Stay close to me." Echoes of laughter drifted in and swirled around them, like whispers in a crowded room. It was chilling, a cacophony of voices layering over one another, each one a cruel reminder of what they had escaped. "Don't you want to play?" A voice chimed, chirpy and disembodied, echoing from the far corner of the room. Sarah's heart raced as dread curled in her stomach. "You can stay forever. We'll have so much fun." "Who's there?" Sarah called out, her voice trembling. The shadows twisted at the corners of her vision, taking form behind the couch, just on the edge of sight. "Just your friends." Another voice squeaked, the sinister glee dripping with malice. "We missed you." Lily squeezed her mother's hand, her small fingers digging into Sarah's skin. "Mommy, I want to go home," she whimpered, tears shimmering in her eyes. "Soon, baby," Sarah promised, although uncertainty filled her chest like a stone. "We just need to figure this out." She began to move toward the door they had passed through, but it had vanished. In its place was a plain wall, smooth as glass, taunting them. "Playing is fun." The disembodied voices chanted, their laughter ebbing and flowing, creating a sinister rhythm in the air. Sarah spun around, anxiety gripping her. The old living room morphed around them, furniture warped, shadows undulated across the walls, and the laughter grew louder. "We can't stay here," she shouted, clutching Lily tighter. "Find the door. We have to keep moving." "Why not stay?" A mocking voice echoed. "It's so cozy, so warm. Just like home." The room twisted again, and suddenly the air grew heavy and stifling, a noose tightening around her throat. Sarah's eyes darted to the walls. They were closing in, the room shrinking as if the universe was conspiring to crush them. "No," she gasped. "We can't let them win." A thud echoed from behind the couch, a dull crash that splintered the laughter, momentarily breaking the spell. Sarah moved instinctively toward the noise, feeling the fabric of familiar dread brush against her skin. "Don't," Lily said, pulling back. "I'm scared." "I know, Lily. But we need to be brave," Sarah replied, trembling but resolute. "We need to uncover what this is and find a way out. We have to." She ducked low, peering around the couch. Her breath caught in her throat as she saw them, figures, distorted faces lurking in the shadows, eyes glinting with a sinister hunger. They were watching, waiting. In that moment, the air shifted, and the laughter transformed into a more sinister chant. Stay with us." With determined struggle, Sarah lunged forward. "Get ready, Lily." But in that split second, something cold gripped her ankle. She fell, pulling her daughter down with her. The laughter crescendoed, raw and unforgiving, as the chilling darkness wrapped around them, tightening like a vice. Dark figures loomed closer, phantoms emerging from the corners of the room, their translucent forms reaching for them. Sarah scrambled to her feet, pulling Lily up with a surge of adrenaline. "What do we do?" Lily cried, wide-eyed with fear. As the shadows advanced, a single thought pierced through the chaos: there had to be a way to confront this terror. She had to act fast. In a voice barely louder than a whisper, she muttered, "It's now or never." But what she didn't know was that a deeper horror awaited behind that thin veil of black, a truth that would either save them or confine them to this twisted fate forever. "Mommy, I'm scared," Lily's trembling voice echoed. Out of desperation, Sarah pulled them both toward the shrinking space where the figures loomed. "We fight back together." But would strength alone be enough, or was something darker waiting to claim them? A final screech erupted through the air as they plunged deeper into the maw of darkness, their fates hanging in the balance. And from somewhere deep in the abyss, a chilling whisper asked, "Are you ready for the truth?" The darkness enveloped them like a suffocating shroud. Sarah's heart raced as the shadows closed in, twisting and writhing as if they had minds of their own. She clutched Lily's small hand tightly, refusing to let go. Fear flooded her senses, but she fought it back, insisting that they could make it through this together. "Lily, listen to me," Sarah said, her voice steadying despite the chaos. "We have to stay focused. We need to find the light wherever it is." As if in response to her words, a flicker of brightness sparked in the distance. It was small, almost timid, yet it beckoned to Sarah like a moth to a flame. "There!" she exclaimed, pointing. "Come on." They darted toward the light, the shadows lunging at their heels, hissing through jagged teeth formed from the very fabric of their fears. Each step felt heavy, and Sarah could swear the ground beneath them pulsed, as if it were alive and trying to pull them back into the darkness. "Mommy." Lily's voice trembled. "What if it's a trap?" They stumbled closer, the light growing brighter, and Sarah's heart quickened. "It has to be better than this. Trust me, sweetie. Just a little bit further." The light enveloped them when they reached it. For a heartbeat, they were suspended in a fragile cocoon of brightness. Then it shattered. They found themselves standing in a long, dimly lit corridor, the walls lined with warped photographs of smiling families, smiles that seemed too wide, too eager, almost forced. Sarah's stomach twisted at the sight. "Where are we?" Lily whispered, her innocent eyes reflecting the faint light. "I don't know," Sarah admitted, wrestling with the acidic taste of anxiety in her throat. "But we must keep moving." Suddenly, a loud bang echoed down the hall. The sound reverberated off the walls, jolting Sarah to her senses. "What was that?" she asked, scanning their surroundings. From the shadows at the end of the corridor, laughter bubbled up again, sweet yet grotesque. "Play with us," it sang. The dismembered laughter grew, bursting around them like an unseen force. "Stay close, Lily," Sarah yelled, pulling her daughter against her. The hallway darkened as the laughter swelled, ominous and consuming. It felt alive, reaching out with tendrils of darkness. "Why won't they leave us alone?" Lily cried, her small body trembling. "Because they want us," Sarah guessed, breath hitching as the corridor appeared to stretch on endlessly. The walls seemed to pulse, lining the path with shadows that deepened with each step they took. As they moved, a door appeared on their right, slightly ajar. Hope flickered. "Maybe it's an exit," Sarah whispered urgently, steering Lily toward it, but as they approached, the door creaked wider, revealing a small, dim room filled with toys. Child-sized spectral figures played among the scattered remnants of forgotten laughter, their eyes glistening with a hunger that chilled Sarah to her core. "Mommy! They're not real!" Lily screamed, pulling back in terror. "We can't go in there. Look!" Sarah saw an old wooden chest resting against the far wall, its surface marred and cracked. A glimmer of hope surged within her. "We might find something useful." But as they reached the doorway, an icy wind swept through the room. The laughter turned sharp, urgent. "You can't leave!" it shrieked, the voices twisted in rage. "You belong to us now. Frozen in place, Sarah felt the pull of despair dragging them down. She clutched Lily tight, eyes darting to the shadows that began to swell, darkening the very air around them. The walls began to vibrate with a deep growl, a rumble of suppressed power that resonated in her bones, forward or backward. It felt like a nightmare with no way to wake up, a loop of dark terrors closing them in. "Mommy, we have to run." Lily's voice cut through the fear-laden air. "All right, on 3, 1, 2." As they prepared to bolt, the ground shuddered, making the walls groan. And then, something inside the chest rattled violently, a sound like bones breaking, revealing a horrific secret. "Are you ready for more than the truth?" The shadows whispered, drawing closer. As the shadows began to reach for them, caught between their fates, Sarah could only wonder if they would ever see the light again. The sound from the chest grew louder, bone-chilling and relentless, like the cracking of 1,000 branches underfoot in a dark forest. Shadows surged, drawn toward the ice-blue glow erupting from within. The voices laughed louder, a cacophony that twisted Sarah's stomach into knots. "Mommy, please." Lily whimpered, her little fingers digging into Sarah's arm. With an electric jolt, the chest's lid shot open, revealing a vortex of shimmering darkness. Inside, it pulsed like a living thing, revealing fragmented images of those lost faces twisted in agony, eyes wide with terror. Sarah recoiled, forcing herself to breathe, to think. "Stay behind me," she rasped, stepping closer to shield Lily. Her heart pounded as she stared into the abyss. In a mindless rush, she instinctively reached for an object from the chest, clasping a grimy doll. It felt cold and wrong in her hands. The laughter shifted, morphing into whispers that crawled beneath her skin. "Play with us." "We missed the fun." The words warped into a low growl. Panic surged through Sarah. What had she just unleashed? The doll's glassy eyes seemed to blink, reflecting uncertainty and dread. "Let us go. Now!" she shouted, ripping her gaze from the toy. They bolted, leaving behind the bedroom and racing down the corridor, the laughter trailing after them, taunting, waiting. Each footfall echoed through the darkness, thunderous in the eerie silence. Suddenly, the corridor twisted again, the walls looming and bending, reshaping their escape route. The once familiar hallway felt more like a maze of despair as they were veered off course. Shadowy tendrils snaked down from the ceiling, reaching for them, scraping along the polished floors. "Mommy, I'm scared." Lily's voice cracked, each word laced with raw fear. "Hold on tight," Sarah urged, adrenaline coursing through her veins. They turned sharply, racing toward a flicker of light that appeared like a mirage. It oscillated, teasing them with illusions of safety, but uncertainty churned in Sarah's gut. As they approached the light, it dimmed, revealing a door, a heavy barrier that looked as if it had not been opened in decades. Rusted hinges creaked ominously when she pushed against it, but the voice swarmed again, chillingly sweet, flowing effortlessly through the cracks. "Don't go. We'll take care of you forever." Fear clawed at Sarah. "We have to get through," she muttered under her breath, heart racing. She yanked the door wider and flung herself and Lily inside. The room beyond was adorned in sterile brightness, a stark contrast to the oppressive darkness they had sprinted through. "Is it safe, Mommy?" Lily whispered, eyes wide. I don't know." The room glowed unnaturally, sending shivers racing down Sarah's spine. Apprehension flooded her thoughts. Was it another trap? Before she could voice her concerns, the door slammed shut behind them. With a snap that echoed like thunder, dark shadows took form, swirling around the walls, reshaping into figures. "Welcome home," they cooed, their voices thick with malice. The fleeting warmth of the light flickered, and Sarah realized with dread that she had chosen wrong. The once comforting space contorted, the air now suffocating with despair. "What do you want with us?" Sarah blurted, fighting against the sinking feeling in her chest. "To play forever and ever," the figures chorused, their twisted smiles growing impossibly wide. "What if we don't want to play?" Lily asked, her voice trembling. Then you will suffer with us. They lunged forward, the darkness consuming the edges of the room like a ravenous beast, closing in with intent. Sarah's mind raced. They had to find a way out, but where? Panic shot through her. She clutched the doll tighter, its weight anchoring her as she fought against the rising tide of terror. Look for a way. A window, a hatch, something. She screamed, searching frantically. And then, as if acknowledging her desperation, the walls pulsed violently, revealing a door behind the figures, shimmering with hope. But the shadows hissed, frantically clawing at them. No. You will not leave. Time slowed, fear blaring in her ears, as she felt the urgency of a decision that would seal their fate. On 3. But what awaited on the other side? Would it be freedom or another layer of darkness? With the shadows closing in, what would Sarah choose? The shadows surged forward, relentless, grasping with cold, claw-like hands that lingered just out of reach. The sound of their laughter, a dreadful echo, filled the room, growing louder, thrumming like a heartbeat. Sarah's pulse thundered in her ears as she held Lily close, shielding her from the oncoming despair. We can't let them take us. She cried, the urgency cracking her voice. We move together. With her heart racing, she took a deep breath and steeled herself. On 3, we run for that door. 1, 2, 3. They dashed forward, adrenaline propelling them. The oppressive darkness writhed, but Sarah's focus narrowed to the glowing door at the far end of the room. Time felt suspended, the chilling laughter shrinking to a whisper as they bolted toward freedom. Just as they surged through the doorway, the shadows lunged, tendrils whipping through the air, desperate to ensnare them. An icy grip latched onto Sarah's ankle, and she stumbled. Lily! She screamed, pain shooting through her as she fell, but the weight of fear turned into a raw, primal fire within her. No! I want to let you take her. With a fierce twist, she kicked at the darkness and pulled her daughter close. She could feel the shadows clawing at her dress, the weight of despair pulling her into their suffocating embrace. A little help, please. A voice sliced through the chaos. It was Eleanor. Sarah's heart surged with hope. Eleanor. We're here. She shouted, reaching out. The fear that had curled in her chest began to unravel. Eleanor appeared as a shimmering beacon in the darkness. You need to believe, Sarah. Face your fears. With a will forged in love, Sarah turned to the shadows. You can't have us. She roared, gripping Lily's hand tightly. Suddenly, the doll she clutched in her other hand pulsed warmly, flooding her with memories of laughter, play, and light reminders of innocence lost but not forgotten. You want to play? She yelled. Then let us play. The shadows hissed, recoiling from her words. But Sarah took a step forward, standing tall against the dark. You will not keep us. We choose our fate. Lily squeezed her hand, eyes wide. Mommy, I want to go home. Then that's what we're going to do. Focus on home, sweetie. Think of your room, your toys, our love. The air shimmered with possibility, and in the distance, a warm light flared. With renewed strength, Sarah pulled Lily close and sprinted towards it. They bolted through the doorway, racing against the ravenous shadows. We're almost there. The light poured into their souls, suffocating the tendrils that had tried to wrap around Lily's small body. Each step felt liberating, and unstoppable energy surged with each heartbeat. The shadows screamed a sound that vibrated through the air, desperate, angry, and filled with despair, desperately reaching for what was once theirs. They burst through the doorway, tumbling into a sunlit living room. The air felt crisp, filled with the smell of fresh flowers and warmth. Lily giggled, bathed in golden light. We did it, Mommy. Sarah burst into tears, frantically checking every inch of their surroundings. They had escaped the darkness. The house melted away behind them like fog, dissolving into nothing as the laughter faded into the ether. The ordinary became extraordinary, every corner now shone, alive with color and laughter. "Mommy, are we safe?" Lily beamed, feeling the warmth of the moment after their nightmarish escape. "For now, yes," Sarah said, pulling Lily into her arms. She looked around the familiar space, her heart swelling with hope. "We made it through together." Tears streamed down her face, not of despair but of relief and gratitude. They were free. The ordeal had drawn them closer, teaching Sarah the depth of strength and love. Her heart whispered a silent promise: they would find healing under the sun together. As they shared a moment of peace, a soft rhythm surrounded them like laughter echoing through the trees outside, pure and joyful, becoming a soundtrack to their newfound freedom. For the first time in months, Sarah felt the weight of grief lift. Their smiles merged, bound by the warmth of home and the knowledge that the darkness could not reclaim them. With hope ignited in her heart, she turned to the windows, sunlight spilling in like a warm embrace. "What now?" Lily asked, as they framed their lives anew. "Now, we rebuild," Sarah smiled, looking down at her daughter, faith glimmering in her eyes. "Together, always. No more shadows." And just like that, they stepped out into a radiant world of promise, knowing that whatever came next would not contain them, but only reveal the power of their enduring love. Welcome home indeed. You need to subscribe now to stay connected. Don't miss out on more stories like this. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. Instantly share this with at least 5 friends who need to see it. Don't wait even one more second. True fans like you know the importance of keeping these tales alive.